Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Hammer Territory podcast. I am Scott Coleman, and I am joined on this Sunday afternoon by the great Stephen Tolbert because our dear friend and co-host, Brad Rowland, is getting as far away from the Atlanta Braves as he can. He is on an airplane flying to Vegas. So when you hear about a man from the Atlanta area winning $10 million in penny slots, we will all know who it is. Steven, how are we? Of course, the Braves coming off a sweep. I don't think the vibes are good at all, but how are we doing on this Sunday afternoon?
What's up, buddy? Yeah. The Braves have the worst record, as bad a record relative to 500 as they've had in 8 years, 2017. They're 11 games under. They haven't been 11 games under since the last day of the 2017 season. And so that's where we are right now. Alex Anthopoulos, Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, none of them have ever seen a team this bad since they've been in Atlanta. And so that's where we are. And I think we've all pretty much said it at this point. When Sale and Schwellenbach went down, the hope kind of faded. And the way the Braves have played since then has only hammered home the fact that this season is effectively over. I mean, they had this homestand against a couple of teams that they could get right against, and it was just an absolute disaster. I mean, what'd they go?
1-5.
Yeah. And then 2-7 in the whole homestand if you add in the Phillies series. So just a brutal homestand. And, the conversations around this team are about to drastically change from what we ever thought we were going to be talking about in March, at the All-Star break. The conversations are now about to be drastically different.
Yeah. So with the loss today, the Atlanta Braves are 39-50. And let me ask you this, Stephen, just let's transport back to opening day. And I told you on 4th of July weekend, the Atlanta Braves would have a better odds percentage of getting the number one overall pick in the draft lottery for next summer's draft than they would of making the postseason. That feels impossible. There was so much hope and optimism coming into the year. The team was healthier. Maybe they had a quiet offseason, but on paper, this was still a really strong roster. The computers like the Braves, Vegas like the Braves, we like the Braves. And they're legitimately one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in baseball, and they are another bad week away from having a better record than the Rockies and the White Sox. And that's it. That is shocking. Even in your most pessimistic dreams, that is a shocking thing to come out of my mouth in the first week of July.
And listen, before the revisionists get a hold of it, I want to make sure we're abundantly clear about something. This team was bad before Sale and Schwellenbach got hurt. Like, there's going to be people that tell you, well, they lost their rotation, so of course they're bad. They were bad when they had Sale, Schwellenbach, and Strider pitching every 5th day. They were bad with Acuna. They were bad without Acuna. They were bad with Profar. They're bad without Pro. I tweeted this the other day. Like, their consistency in being bad is actually stunning. Like, it doesn't actually matter which star is in the lineup or not. They're just bad. And that's the part, like, Acuna and Strider came back and the team was worse. Somehow, I mean, like, it's actually stunning. And no, to be to the point now where you're 100% right. They have a much better chance of being the number one pick in the draft next summer. People get it confused. I want to make sure we're clear. It's next summer. You're right. There's a draft happening in like a week. But if the Braves obviously are one of the worst teams in baseball, they'll have a high pick in next year's draft. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they're closer to the number one pick than a playoff spot in a year in a format where 40% of baseball makes the playoffs. They're like 13th in the National League at a 15th team. I mean, it's crazy. They're the Marlins are like 2 games up on the Braves right now, which isn't, I mean,
yeah,
it's insane.
It is. And we think about where this team was 2.5 weeks ago, coming off the sweep of the Mets and all of the bad things that have happened since that sweep. You lose Sale, you lose Schwellenbach. I think they have 3 wins, 4 wins since then, 5 wins, whatever it is. They've been maybe the worst team in baseball since. And even I was looking back at this. So there was a game in late May when the Braves were at Fenway Park up in Boston. They beat the Red Sox 2 out of 3. They
Yep.
were a game above 500 for the first time all year, which was the best mark they had. Think about everything that's happened since that Boston series a month and a half ago. Whole pitching staff is now hurt. They were a week away. They win that Sunday game in Fenway. Last time they won on a Sunday, by the way. The next week, they would get Strider back. And then right after that, they would get Acuna back. And it was like, all right, it's go time. They played 500 for a month. They came out of this 0-7 hole. Acuna, Strider, two of the most talented human beings on the earth. And since then, I believe other than the Rockies and the Pirates, they have the third worst record in the National League since being a game above 500 and getting Acuna and Strider back.
And Acuna looking incredible for 90% of the time he's been back. And Strider got off to a slow start, but Strider has kind of slowly, morphed back into a really good pitcher over the last.
Yeah.
It's not like those dudes came back and were just, terrible. But what happened is the rest of the team, I mean, if you go back to like June 1st, and so, we're going to talk about the offense. If you go back to like June 1st, it's literally been Acuna and Olsen and everybody else, and Baldwin. I want to give Baldwin his credit. And everybody else fell off a mountain. I mean, everybody else is in like the 60s in terms of like WRC plus. I mean, how bad some of these Ozzy Albies.
Oh,
I mean, Ozzy looks done at like 27.
It hurts my heart. His career is on life support and not trending in a good direction.
He can't hit lefties anymore. I mean, that's literally what his entire profile is built on, is smashing lefties. He's got like a 40 WRC plus against lefties this year. Michael Harris, everybody knows. Marcell, not healthy. They finally benched him today, which is, a sight for sore eyes. Austin Riley's had this really weird year. I cannot figure out what the hell is happening with Austin Riley. And so, yeah, the offense just collapsed. And even with strong pitching, I mean, Grant Holmes, we're going to talk about Grant Holmes. Another great start today. Like I said, Strider's pitched better. Before Sale and Schwellenbach went down, they were both pitching at all-star levels. Some of the best starting pitching in baseball. And again, even before these guys got hurt, the Braves were one of the worst teams. And that's hard to reconcile, quite honestly.
Yeah. It feels like this organization and franchise as a whole is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Because sure, last year was not what anybody wanted. They were out of the playoffs within quite literally 24 hours of the first pitch being thrown. They had all the injuries and everything. But last year, 89 wins in a postseason appearance for basically everyone short of like the billion-dollar spenders is a totally fine outcome. There are teams that would kill for 90 wins in a wild card spot. Ask a Pirates fan if they would take that. They would get on their hands and knees and start crying. But this year, everything that was wrong a year ago with the offense has just magnified by a million. And they can't keep their pitching staff healthy, which is not exclusive to the Braves. But when you lose your pitching and you can't hit, there's no out. There's no way to overcome the injuries on top of this offense that just has not hit since day one. I don't know. Doesn't it? It feels like this off season. I don't think it's an in-season thing necessarily, but it feels like this upcoming off season is like a reckoning, and there are going to be some very, very important and probably difficult decisions that are going to be made.
Well, the problem is they built this core to hit. Like, they signed all of their position players to long-term contracts. I think Strider is the only pitcher that they locked up. Everybody else is a position player. So the whole point is, even if our pitching goes down, even if we have injuries, the offense is supposed to carry us. The offense is supposed to win games. The offense is supposed to be one of the best in baseball. And that's why this is not just a one season. Like, it'd be different if the offense was just kicking ass every day and the pitching just got hurt and fell apart. And you'd be like, all right, well, at least the thing they built the team on is doing well. Like, you could project that forward. What the critical part of what's happening right now is the thing they built it on is what's failing again. And that's where you have to ask some real tough questions. Like, you really have to ask, are we going to run this back again with everything being on the offense? Like you just said, they've had keeping their pitching healthy for 6-7 months has been an impossible task for this team for the last since the World Series, honestly, 22, 23, 24, especially like in September and October, they have not been able to keep their pitching healthy. And it's supposed to be driven by the offense. And the offense is the thing that's failing night after night, day after day. Again today, they lost a 2-1 game today. So that's where you really have to be honest with yourself. If you're Alex, like the thing we built this on is offense, and the offense is failing way too much. And so I agree. I think it is a crossroads. I think it is a reckoning type of offseason. Listen, it's not going to be easy. These long-term contracts offer very little flexibility. I don't want to steal the Hawks, term, but very little optionality. Like they just don't. It's going to be tough, and they're going to probably have to eat some money if they want to get off some of these. And Alex has steadfastly said he's not trading anybody under a long-term contract. I agree with Brad. I think that's a really tough, hard line to draw for too much longer. I think he's going to have to come off that because they need something new.
Yeah, they do. And probably a very lengthy 3 or 4 man pod to discuss that at some time. Yeah. Maybe we'll do it in August. Maybe we'll do it in September if things
we're going to have
real,
some time.
Real dark.
That's clear.
That is clear. Yes, we have nothing but time. All right, Stephen, we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsors, but then there are some interesting things to talk about, including a lineup change, some bullpen games, and maybe some interesting comments from Brian Snitker that we're going to dig into a little bit, and a lot more. We'll be right back after the break.
Building a hair growth routine is easy, only if you go with Nutrafol. Why is that, Todd Father?
Nutrafol, you think about hair. For me, sometimes the hair gets thinning. This thing will thicken your hair up as much as you need. You think about going to weddings or going to the beach or just hanging out with friends and you want to take photos. You want your hair to look good, and this is the best possibility for it.
Yeah, and thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth, that's not it, okay? They have multiple formulas for men and for women that are tailored to fit different stages of life, okay? So go check out Nutrafol. Building a hair growth routine can be easy, and you order online. There's no prescription needed as well. Free shipping, automated deliveries, and for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering the FT fam $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
All right, Stephen, let's hit on maybe the talking points of the weekend. We will not go inning by inning of a 3-game sweep at home on 4th of July weekend to a similarly struggling Orioles team. On Sunday, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but on Sunday, the Braves finally gave Marcell Ozuna a day off. It's probably about 4 weeks too late, but they did do it. And because the Braves are off on Monday, it will give Ozuna 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours to be off his feet. And they also sat Ronald Acuna Jr. for the first time since the doubleheader in New York a few weeks ago, although Acuna ended up coming into that game not long after because Stuart Fairchild broke a finger. But noticeable, Ozuna's really struggling, and even by his incredible standards, Acuna has been striking out a little too much, not driving the ball the way we saw it. So probably a good thing, especially in Ronald's case, to get him off his feet and hopefully let him reset and recharge a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I mean, listen, it was funny. I'm glad they gave Ozuna the day off. That's been a month and a half coming. It was funny to me that like Ronald's been struggling and they gave him a day off against a lefty that he has like mashed in his career. That I did giggle at the process of that. I don't mind it. Listen, this season is effectively over. I would actually like to give Ronald more than one day off every 2 months. Like I would maybe, a day off every couple of weeks just to make sure all is good. I wouldn't actually mind Ronald DHing a little bit to get him out of right field. I don't, if he suffers an injury in a lost season, I'm going to be pissed as hell. So, but yeah, Ozuna's sitting. Listen, both catchers were in the game. Baldwin's been incredible. Murphy homered again. Murphy probably should have had 2 homers. He had a double right off the top of the wall. Murphy's been incredible lately. I mean, you and I have talked about this a million times that no team is set up better for your DH to take a couple of days off than the Braves. With Murphy and Baldwin both being able to hit and hit really well. I understand Snit has like this fear of a catcher getting hurt. I don't know where it comes from. It rarely ever happens, but he just had like it's a debilitating fear of his, and he will not play both catchers at the same time. Today was kind of like a miracle, and I don't expect it to last. I expect Ozuna to be back in there on Tuesday, but we've said it for a while that Murphy and Baldwin can handle it. Murphy and Baldwin can handle it. I'm certain they're probably hoping Ozuna will get hot and they can trade him, and that's fair. Like I don't necessarily disagree with that. Maybe you do hope he can get on a 1-month heater and they can move him for something. But yeah, Murphy and Baldwin can handle it, and they showed that again today. So I wouldn't mind it more. I don't know. Marcell says he's healthy. I don't know if you have an opinion on this. Every time he's asked, he says he's healthy. Every time Snit's asked, he says he's healthy. It doesn't look it. It doesn't look like it to me. But
yeah, if I had to bet my life savings, I'm going to imagine that Marcell is getting hip surgery sometime between today and the start of free agency.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no way. I'm not a
and
doctor.
That's the other thing. He's not doing himself any favors right now with free agency pending.
Yeah, and that's why I just don't understand why the Braves have been so hesitant to not put Marcell on the injured list for 10 days and see if it does any good. Yeah. Because the way he's going now is doing nobody any good. It's not doing the Braves good. It's not doing Drake Baldwin good, which we're going to talk about in a second. It's not doing his free agency, Marcell's free agency, any good. Why not? He has been one of the worst hitters in the entire game over the last 6 weeks. And there's no way that's a coincidence with the Braves saying, oh, by the way, he has a tear in his hip and he's going to need surgery at some point. I don't know. What is there anything to lose by putting Marcell on the IL and just having either the catchers or even Acuna DH for the next 2 weeks?
Well, if you put him on the IL, you can call up a third catcher, which alleviates the fear that your manager is kind of living by, which is a catcher getting hurt. That's what I would do. I'd IL Marcell. I know the Braves don't have any great catchers. I know James McCann moved on to Arizona, but like you can go find a third catcher somewhere that can at least be an emergency option. If by some chance one of your catchers actually does get hurt, then you have another one. But no, 100%. Like, what do you have to like? Not only do you have nothing to lose with Marcell, you also don't have anything to lose with this offense. It's not like they're scoring 8 runs a game. I mean, it's not like you're going to mess up some mojo that they've got going. I mean, what do you literally have nothing to lose? And again, if I was Marcell, if I was Marcell's representation, I'd be like, listen, man, I understand you're like stubborn about this, but we got to think about the next contract. Like teams are watching and they're making decisions on what they're going to, you're not doing yourself any favors. And the Braves probably aren't bringing you back. Like you don't owe them anything. I don't know. It is a weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, Marcell was probably going to get a 2-year, 3-year deal with $20 million a year.
Yeah.
If he had another repeat of his last year.
Oh yeah. If he had 40 homers and 140 WRC plus, yeah, he was going to get like at least Schwarber money. Like Schwarber's built an entire like second half of his career doing just that, just being an awesome DH. Teams value it, especially with offense down across the league. Like 100%, he was going to get a big payday.
Yeah. Yeah. It does not seem to be the case anymore. And the other flip side of the DH, Ozuna, Murphy, Baldwin situation is something that's kind of become even more pressing, I think, in the last few weeks. So for folks who don't know, part of the new collective bargaining agreement struck in 2022 is that if your player wins Rookie of the Year and is on the opening day roster and remains on the opening day roster, which is kind of a way to prevent teams from cheating the system with service time, you get a first-round pick. The team gets a first-round pick if your player wins Rookie of the Year and was on the opening day roster. And, of course, Baldwin was, especially because Murphy was hurt. So, as we said off the top of the show, the Braves have a legitimate chance to get, if not the number 1 overall pick next summer, but a top 3 pick, a top 5 pick, and also the money that comes with having that slot. But if the Braves get a Rookie of the Year for Baldwin, the Braves get, like, I think it's going to be the 29th or 30th pick in next summer's draft because the team's probably going to lose their first-round pick for signing a free agent. I think the most recent time it happened was Julio Rodriguez with the Mariners. The Mariners got the 29th pick in the 2023 draft because of this exact scenario. So it's not a small thing, as we have talked about how dead this farm system is and that it is a lost season. It kind of feels like somewhat of a priority to get Baldwin in there 6 times a week, because winning rookie of the year, one, it'd be really cool for Drake, but two, there is a legitimate competitive advantage now to having the rookie of the year.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. I want to say that the player had to be a like top 100 prospect on like 2 of the 3 like major publications, like The Athletic and Baseball America.
Baseball America, Fangraphs, and MLB Pipeline, I think.
And Drake Baldwin fits those parameters because Drake Baldwin was a consensus top 100 prospect. So he was a top, and this was done to stop teams from manipulating service time of top prospects, like the Braves did with Acuna when he, people remember Acuna didn't come up to like the 3rd week of April his rookie year because they wanted extra control. And a lot of, this is kind of known as the Chris Bryant rule because the Cubs famously did this with Chris Bryant. And so, yes, this is now a critical part of the decision making. Not only should Baldwin just be in there for developmental reasons, like I don't understand Baldwin sitting 3 days a week anyways, but you have a legitimate, like Baldwin's the favorite for rookie of the year, but there's some really good rookies. Like if he sits this much and he gets passed because he's not playing, that's malpractice. That's organizational malpractice. So he needs to play. He needs to play for a lot of reasons other than a draft pick. But now that you have a potential like high draft pick, which not only is about the pick, but like you said, about the bonus pool money that comes with the picks, which is crucial the way the MLB draft is set up. This is a no-brainer. It was already a no-brainer, and now it's even more of a no-brainer. You have to play Drake Baldwin 85, 90% of the time. And if that means sitting Ozuna, if that means trading Ozuna, if that means ILing Ozuna, whatever, we got to start looking past 2025.
Yeah.
And, Drake Baldwin is a much bigger part of 2026 and beyond than Marcell Ozuna is. So we got to start looking that direction and add in the draft pick. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah. And not only that, but getting Sean Murphy and this home run heater that he's on into the lineup is also like a win now thing.
Yeah.
Like the Braves' best chance to win on any given night is to run into a 3 or a grand slam.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That is their only chance. God knows this team.
They still can't hit with runners in scoring position. So.
Yes, God knows this team is not stringing together 4 or 5 hits inside the park in an inning. I mean, you probably count on 2 hands the number of times that has happened through 85 games this season.
Yeah.
So get Murphy in the lineup, especially the way he's been launching the ball. And also, and I don't think ultimately they're going to, but if the Braves decide to address the rest of the roster, that they're going to trade Sean Murphy this offseason, doesn't it behoove you to have the best season imaginable for Murphy? Yeah. To put up a 30 home run season, to show the power that teams would covet, to showcase him behind the plate where he's so good. It feels like the obvious both win now and also big picture. And I'm not saying they're necessarily going to trade Murphy because that would be, as we've talked about endlessly on the show, a very drastic change for the organization. But it just play the catchers, have to play Baldwin for all those reasons, need to play Murphy. It's hard to basically play Ozuna. And if that means you have to do whatever you have to do, then it seems worthwhile at this point in a lost season.
Yeah. And that's what I'm curious to see is like, we've called it on this show. Most people who watch the team, cover the team, have pretty much resigned themselves to that this season is over. How close is the organization to like really start looking at 2026? Because Alex famously did that radio interview like 3 weeks ago and said, we're not selling. He was very defiant about it. But that was before Sale got hurt. And that was before Schwellenbach got hurt. And that was before the offense continued to play like crap, even with Profar back. I'm sure they wanted to see what the offense would look like when Profar got back. Still, exact same. Like, at what point do they call it? Because, if you're not going to get much for Marcell at the trade deadline anyways, put him on the IL. Like, or go ahead and let him have the surgery. And he's out for the year. And then you can just play Baldwin and Murphy, call up a third catcher so you're not worried about that. And like you said, I'm not so sure it's not just better for now anyways, with Murphy and Baldwin both in the lineup. It's probably just the best case scenario all the way around. So that's going to be interesting to me over the next couple of weeks. It's like, how close is this organization to just understanding that this is probably over?
To be a fly on the wall
Yeah.
in those offices during the All-Star break and kind of 5 days for front offices to reset and have some discussions. And of course, the trade deadline is less than 4 weeks away at this point. So it would be, I would love to
Let me
be,
ask you this. Like, if you were Marcel's representation, wouldn't you tell him to have the surgery now?
yes,
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why would
have the
you?
surgery now. You could sell it. Hey, he was an incredible hitter for 2.5 years.
He was hurt.
Hurt his hip, has the surgery. He can work out for teams. He's going
Yeah.
to sign. He'll be back to normal. Yeah.
Because if you have it in the off season, then teams aren't even going to like be able to see you like hitting the cage or do workouts. Like, I would have it. There's not a chance in hell if I was in charge of Marcell Ozuna's future, I would let him play another day of this season. By the way.
Yeah. No, you're right. For Marcel's benefit, not
Yeah.
just the Braves, but yes, indeed. So we'll see. Maybe if it comes down that Marcell is hitting the IL one of these days, I don't think a soul will be surprised.
Yep.
All right, Stephen, we have a bit more to talk about, some more talking points from the weekend, and then also a look ahead to some All-Star Week festivities and a look ahead to a very, I don't even know the right word, series against the Oakland Sacramento A's. But first, a quick word from our partners.
Hey, this episode is sponsored by Huel, so I'm going to take a sip while Todd Father tells you about Huel. And Todd Father, you asked me, when should I drink it?
Yeah,
What did I tell you?
Really, it's the best thing for you. Before a workout, after a workout, whatever you're feeling. Like sometimes I'll just drink this just because it tastes that good. The flavor is very good. It's going to make you feel, it's going to fill you up too. Good protein, and it's very appetizing. So for you people out there who are starting to work out or have been, drink this. You're going to feel very much energized and very much full, which is a great thing.
Yeah, people that are having problems, not having enough time to eat their meals, Huel for you. Or a little post-workout protein punch, Huel for you. Start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with the FT offer for new customers. 15% off using the code FAL at Huel.com. 15% for new customers using FOUL at Huel.com. See our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition.
All right, Stephen, we are back, and let's just kind of breeze through a couple of these here. Again, I think you and I did the same thing on our last show. We don't have to do 20 minutes here, but Grant Holmes, terrific start on Sunday, as he has given the Braves for 2 months now. Now 11 starts in a row where Grant Holmes has given up 3 runs or less, and the Braves are 3-8 in those games. Just mind-numbing. I don't know what else to say. Good on Grant Holmes. Just maybe the best positive, I guess, healthy story of this season so far is Grant Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, Holmes has been the Schwellenbach story from last year, right? It's like this guy kind of came out of nowhere, and I've said it before. I certainly had my doubts about Grant Holmes. I thought he was a reliever. The swing and miss stuff is probably the biggest surprise. It's not just like success, but it's like the type of success that is sustainable and repeatable. It's not just built on batted ball luck. It's not just built on, the opponents are running a 150 BABIP against him this year, and so everything looks better. Like, it's strikeouts. Like, the stuff is just swing and miss stuff. And that's the most exciting part, because it's now you can kind of believe in it in the future. It's not just a this year thing. And that's what was exciting about Schwellenbach too, is he was getting the strikeouts that you need to be a sustainably really good starting pitcher. And yeah, just another example today of just, gave the Braves every chance in the world to win that game. Braves should have won that game if the offense is decent. And that's the 50th time we've said that this year. So
I was going to say, stop me if you have said these words before, but yeah. Saturday's game was a weird one because there was actually some offense. I didn't know what to make of it. I admittedly did not catch a pitch of Saturday's game, but I saw they scored 6 runs, and it was like, wow, what's gotten into the water down in Atlanta? Maybe you always say the Space Jam, the magic water. Maybe they got some of that in the cooler on Saturday afternoon. So Braves did score 6 runs. They gave up 9 runs, which is par for the course these days. And the one interesting note that I think we both kind of caught was Aaron Bummer served as the opener, and it was a bullpen game for the Braves. And afterwards, Brian Snitker said pretty candidly with the media that they could not do another bullpen game, or he didn't think they could do another bullpen game. those were I'm sure Snit is frustrated. I'm sure every single person who is employed by the Braves is frustrated, but just kind of interesting comments. I don't know if there was anything more to it or if he was just pissed after losing again, but it kind of felt like a little bit of a plea or a jab at the front office to get him somebody who can start games so he doesn't have to burn his bullpen for 10 innings. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this.
Yeah, so if you missed the game, and I don't blame anybody for not watching the games, but Aaron Bummer was the opener, and he looked good for 2 innings. And Aaron Bummer has not pitched more than 2 innings at any point this year. And he was at like 35, 40 pitches, something like that. But he looked good. He struck out, I think, 4 in a row at one point in those 2 innings. And so everybody just kind of assumed he was done. And then he came back out for a 3rd inning, and he got lit up. And the Braves were already ahead 2-0 or 3-0 at that point. I can't remember. And the Orioles immediately scored 3 runs off Aaron Bummer. And then he got taken out. And so, the joke online was, yeah, of course, Snit doesn't want to do bullpen games. He sucks at managing them. And listen, I think Brian Snitker overall catches too much blame for a lot of stuff. He is not good at managing a bullpen game. That is 100% fair. I think his biggest blind spot ever since he's been the manager in any situation is he is usually 3, 4, 5 batters too slow in taking a pitcher out. And this is not just in bullpen games. This is starters. This is Bryce Elder in a playoff game. Pick your spot. Brian Snitker is too conservative with leaving his starters or leaving any pitcher in a game. And when you're running a bullpen game, that's especially a problem because the whole, it's a numbers game. You're trying to make sure that every hitter, doesn't see a pitcher more than once. And when he let Bummer face the top of the order a second time, that's where he got burned. And so, yeah, after the game, when he said that, it was funny, one, because he's like, we can't do bullpen games. And everybody's like, well, no, you can't do bullpen games. Like the rest of the league can do a bullpen game just fine. Brian Snitker struggles. But yeah, so I agree with you. I think he was talking to Alex there. And listen, I've been surprised that the Braves have lost Sale and Schwallenbach and have not added like any sort of starting pitcher. Like they called up a 20-year-old kid. That's it. That's the only
somebody. There's veterans out there. Somebody who's pitching for a AAA team and has an opt-out in their minor league deal.
Yeah, they haven't done anything, which is like, I mean, maybe they're done. Like maybe they are done. Maybe that's the indication they're done. But like just a body to get through innings, like, or allow Fuentes to go back to AAA, which is where he should have been a while ago. Like I'm stunned they haven't done anything, and I think Snit is a little. I think he's probably a little peeved that they haven't given him anything to start a game with, and he's not listen. He doesn't like bullpen games. He is very much a traditional manager. He wants the starter to go 6-7 innings. 2 guys out of the bullpen each night, and that's it. Like he's a set it and forget it manager, not an outside the box kind of manager. So I get it, but I did think it was a little bit of a veiled shot at the front office.
Yeah, and it is almost certainly Brian Snitker's final year managing the team before he retires. And I'm sure, obviously, every manager wants to go out on top.
Yeah.
No one wants to deal with this. At least you and I and the fans and people listening can click the button on the TV remote and stop watching or stop listening on the radio or doing whatever it is you do. Snit's sitting there and he's watching this team lose basically the same game every night. And on the rare chance they do score, it feels like that is the night the bullpen randomly implodes and they lose like they did on Saturday and lost 9-6 in 10 innings. It has been a trying year, and we'll see. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm surprised Kyle Gibson or pick again, man, like they're always veterans in their 30s pitching for a AAA team, similar to like what James McCann was doing as a catcher. All of a sudden, the Diamondbacks lost both of their catchers to injury. McCann leaves and he signs. That is not an uncommon thing. And they have to find somebody to eat innings. And at some point, we kind of talked around this, but Strider's not going to go balls to the wall until September 30th. Grant Holmes is going to fly past his career high in innings in about another month. They're not going to push Holmes for 200 innings, or they better freaking not. But you have to have somebody start, and you have to have somebody cover 9 innings 6 or 7 days a week. And I don't know. It's weird. Aren't the feelings around the organization just weird right now on the whole?
Well, and it started in the offseason where like nobody could figure out like why aren't they addressing the bullpen? Like we were all like just scratching our like I don't know if it's a money thing, like we've all just kind of given out these theories like Alex just like randomly had his budget cut. Like cuz that's the only way we can explain it. And maybe that has something to do when they haven't made a move. Like maybe Alex literally does not have another dime to spend on this roster and so like he can't go trade or sign a straw. I don't know. But it has been weird. I mean, it has been like for a front office that has consistently like preached about having depth, like they did nothing to address depth in their rotation or in their bullpen. They have not done anything to address the depth since the injuries. Like it is weird. It is so weird. And I can't explain it.
And just other weird stuff too, like the Kimbrel PR debacle.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? What we talked about Ozuna. What are
the
they doing?
Ozuna stuff? Yeah.
Clearly an injured player who is killing your team. He's killing his chance at getting a contract, and they're running him out there every single day for a month and a half before he finally got it. I don't know. Weird times. Let's move on before we turn this into a 3-hour, just you and me firing back and forth, because I think maybe it'd be therapeutic. Unless there was something from the weekend. Oh, one item. Marcell Iglesias looks really good right now.
Yeah.
We talked about Aaron Bummer looked really good for 2 innings on Saturday. Those are not small things. I think if I had to bet money on one player to be traded in the next month, I would almost certainly say it's going to be Iglesias. He looks like his normal self, basically since the start of June, stopped throwing that slider that was getting crushed. Iglesias looks good, and that's, they're not getting Mike Trout as a prospect in exchange for him in a trade, but hey, we'll take it even if it's a B tier, top 200 type infield prospect. Why not? Why not get some assets if you can in a lost season?
Yeah, and this will be a longer discussion as we get closer, but I think the Braves need to aggressively shop some of these relievers that are having good years, and for a couple of reasons. One, you take Aaron Bummer. Aaron Bummer is going to make $10 million next year. And Aaron Bummer, they don't even use Aaron Bummer in high leverage. Are you really going to have a non-high leverage reliever make $10 million next year when you already clearly have budgetary issues? That doesn't sound like a great idea to me. But even like Pierce Johnson, Marcell Iglesias, if you have a reliever who is both good and healthy, the odds of him being both good and healthy again next year are very low. That's just relievers. And the Braves learned that firsthand with Iglesias and Jimenez this year, last year to this year. And if you can get something for Pierce Johnson, and listen, there's not going to be a lot of sellers. That's one good thing about being a bad team right now is that there's like 24 buyers and there's like 6 sellers. And so you can probably get something decent, and everybody's looking for more bullpen help. Everybody's looking for more pitching, especially as you move into the playoffs. Playoffs are where bullpens become 1,000 times more important. And so I think you can get something legitimate for Pierce Johnson. And I think you can get something legitimate for Aaron Bummer. I think you can get something at least decent for Marcell Iglesias. It would also save you some money, which apparently is a critical factor here because the Braves clearly have no money because you don't have to pay those guys salaries for the last 2 months of the season. So that's what I would be doing. And I know Alex said they're not selling anybody that's got multiple years of control, and both Bummer and Pierce Johnson have multiple years of control. So he would have to go back on what he said, but you got to be honest about where you are and the reality of it. And the reality of this team stinks, but they've got good relievers, and good relievers are valuable this time of year. Yeah. And I would trade them. And on top of the fact that the farm system sucks, like it just does. Farm system sucks, and it's sucked for a long time. And they have not drafted well. That's a whole separate conversation. That you go back and look at like their first round picks since Alex has been in charge. It is a rough list, and they have not drafted well. The international free agents are still too far away to mean anything. They need prospects. They need a better farm system. So I would 100% look into trading some of these relievers.
Do whatever you can. I mean, it's more on the margins. You're not going to change the trajectory of this franchise by getting a prospect for 2 months of Marcell Iglesias or Aaron Bummer or Marcell Ozuna. But it can't hurt, especially when.
And listen, I know I can already hear people replying, but they want to win next year. Okay, so just build up a new bullpen.
Yeah,
your bullpen changes year over year, and who good relievers are changes year over. Go look at the best relievers in baseball last year and then this year. Like you can build a bullpen in the offseason. It's not like building a rotation or building a lineup.
Yeah. I mean, look at AJ Minter.
Yeah.
Was a core bullpen piece for 5 years. And now for back-to-back seasons, he's been hurt and ineffective.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a cruel game. It's a difficult game, but I tend to agree. Use your bullpen to add talent when you don't really have much of it in your organization. Because frankly, the little bit of talent the Braves have in their farm system now, they're not going to want to trade. They're going to need to use that in the years to come to supplement the big league roster. All right, Stephen, 2 items, and then we'll get out of here. It is a week and, well, I guess a week from right now, we'll be at the All-Star break. Of course, the festivities this year are in Atlanta. The circumstances around it are maybe not the most joyful, but nonetheless, always a great experience. The All-Star game was out here in Arizona many years ago, and I went, I was a kid, and not a kid, but younger than I am now. And it's awesome. You have fans from all over the country. And on Sunday night, so maybe when folks are already listening to this, the All-Star game rosters will be announced. We already know Acuna is going to be there in a starting capacity in the outfield. That's pretty much it in terms of guarantees for this team. Maybe a player or two who have a chance, but just, I guess, anything you're looking for, I think I would say as a podcast whole, we are not big All-Star game guys, but because it's in Atlanta, we at least wanted to talk about it a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that Acuna is going to be there. He's going to be in the home run derby. I've been kind of I care more about the home run derby this year than I do most years. And they've been very kind of secret with who's going to be in this thing. I think they've only released, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. I think they've released Cal Raleigh and James Woods and Acuna. And I think that's it. I don't think we have anybody else. I don't know if they're having hard time filling spots or they just haven't announced them, but I'm curious to see who else is going to be in it. So that'll be cool. I really hope Matt Olson gets in tonight. Again, we're recording this before they release the stuff on Sunday night. Matt Olson deserves to be an all-star. He's been, by war, the best first baseman in baseball. He catches so much shit because his name is not Freddie Freeman from Braves fans. It pisses me off to no end. And, he deserves to be an all-star. He's been one of the best players in baseball this year. He's been one of the best players on the team this year. If you go back to the very beginning of the year, obviously Acuna didn't come until mid-May. You could argue he's been the best position player on the team. So he should be an all-star. I hope he gets an all-star spot. It sucks for Schwellenbach and Sale because they would have been all-stars. I don't know if they're still going to announce them as names. I doubt, man, I don't know. Maybe I don't actually know how that works. I think Sale got hurt before the voting, but I think Schwellenbach actually got hurt after the voting. So I don't know. Maybe he gets announced and then just immediately replaced. But yeah, Acuna and then maybe Matt Olson. Hopefully Matt Olson.
Yeah, I hope Matt's in. Again, most folks will probably be listening and they'll have a definitive answer. But even if Olson is somehow left off tonight, there's always guys who sit out. They, don't want to go. Some of the veterans honestly probably prefer to go fishing or hunting or spend a week with their kids than travel and do yet more baseball stuff in the middle of the year. And there's always seemingly a couple guys who drop out. So
we'll see. I also wonder if Olson would do the Derby.
That would be awesome. He would. I feel like I think Matt might have done one when he was with Oakland back in the day. Maybe not. Maybe it was Chapman. Regardless, we'll see. It would be fun. I mean, the Chop House would be.
I think
electric.
he would be he'd probably be a better Derby candidate than Acuna. Not only in the park, it's obviously more suited to left-handed hitting, but I feel like Matt's got more of the kind of uppercut, consistent home run swing that you need in the Derby. That'd be fun to have Acuna and Olson. I mean, listen, there's nothing else to cheer for. Having Acuna and Olson in the Derby would be pretty damn cool.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get Bryce Elder to throw BP.
There you go. Now we'll
guarantee ourselves a finals of Acuna versus Olson.
Get Iglesias to throw some sliders in there.
Oh, baby. Now we're talking. Yeah, there you go. Elder the first 2 rounds, then Iglesias for the final round.
Nothing
sliders
but
only.
Nothing but sliders.
Yeah. There we go. Somebody let the Braves know this needs to happen. And then lastly, now, so if the feeling was not good enough for the Braves after getting swept at home and going 2-7 over the last 10 days at home, now they get to fly across the whole country to Sacramento, where the Oakland A's are playing. If people have not seen how bad this ballpark is where the Oakland Sacramento A's are playing. A Giants fan posted a picture on the concourse. They paid $140 for tickets because the Giants were playing the A's this past weekend. And I kid you not, on the concourse, there were 2 chairs that look like the 488 chairs that you buy when you walk into Walmart for like your kids to sit in when they get out of the pool. And if you were upwards of like 200 pounds, you might break the legs off these things. And they were $100 seats at this stadium. The grass is terrible. The ball flies. So maybe the Braves can hit a couple of homers, although that feels like a mountain they're going to have to climb. But Oakland is bad. The Braves are bad. 2 games at 10 o'clock. And then Thursday's game is at 9 o'clock. These might be the 3 least watched Braves games of the last like 8 years. Seriously, I would love to know. Obviously, the Braves and the TV folks track that. I don't know how many people are staying up until 1 a.m. to watch Braves A's with the current state of things.
Yeah, and I think it's Fuentes on Tuesday and Elder on Wednesday. So it's like,
yep.
Good Lord. Yeah, those could be rough. And again, the ball absolutely flies out of that ballpark. It's a AAA ballpark. The A's are just the biggest joke. I mean, they just absolutely screwed over an entire fan base in Oakland. The owner there, what's his name? John Fisher, right? Or something like that.
I think so. Sounds right.
Just a giant, POS. Sucks what they did to that fan base. That was one of the best. When that team was good, Oakland's fans were incredible. And even after selling off the team every other year, they just had really strong fans. So I hate what they've done. I've been following a little bit on the periphery what's going on in like the Las Vegas with their supposed new ballpark in 2028. Even that is not like a certain. They might legitimately be like a franchise without a home for like half a decade. So it's sad. It's really sad what's happening to them. They've actually got a couple of really fun young hitters. Rooker is still out there. Butler. They've called up a couple of their prospects that are pretty good. So they've actually got some young players that are interesting. But yeah, they're terrible. But the Braves are terrible too. So anything can happen in a game like this. I 100% agree with you. There's going to be 12 people watching this game. I will probably be one of them because we're sickos. But I don't blame fans for checking out at this point. It's gotten pretty ugly.
Yes, it has. So 3 games in Sacramento, and then the Braves wrap up the first half with a trip to St. Louis, actually, to see a Cardinals team that's turned it on quite a bit.
Yeah.
Get to see old friend Chip Carey and see how he's doing. And then the All-Star break, 4 days away from this baseball team. Probably a good mental reset for everybody involved. Stephen, I think that's going to do it for the show today. Please, if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share, and if not, let the fine folks know where they can find your writing and your tweeting and everything else.
Yeah, B_outliers. Scott and I pretty much live tweet these games at this point. I don't know how much we're going to be doing that going forward this year, but we are going to be on the podcast no matter what. It's going to get ugly, but we're going to we're going to have a show every other day, basically, is what we do at this point. We have the draft. We're going to have a lot of draft stuff. Obviously, the MLB draft just came a lot more important to the Braves franchise than it was maybe 3 months ago. So this podcast specifically is going to get pretty big into the draft. And then obviously next year's draft will be even bigger because they're going to have a pretty high pick. The All-Star break and then the trade deadline. And, we'll have more time to talk about it, but I do think the Braves need to be a little proactive here at the trade deadline and maybe start moving some relievers, maybe Ozuna, but it's going to get interesting. We're going to talk about it no matter what, though, and we appreciate the support.
That's right. We usually do the emergency pods in July because the Braves have acquired someone. Last year, you, Sean, and I did a show at like 1 a.m. because they traded for Jorge Soler. I don't know if I think the emergency pods, which we will do, we're probably going to be a little more seller focused, unfortunately, but maybe they make a move to add somebody long-term. All right, folks, thank you as always for tuning into the podcast. We really do mean that. I know this team just makes you want to bang your head against a wall, but win or lose, good or bad, we always do a show. So thank you again. We will be back with more content this upcoming week, probably some late night editions of the podcast as the Braves are out in Sacramento. So God knows what is going to be said in those shows. Until then, we will see everybody next time.